Hey everyone. I want to make this up-to-date video today and kind of discuss misconceptions of episodic ataxia. I don't know if I want to just make it episodic ataxia in general or just focus on EA2. I have the type 2 episodic ataxia. But I'll just probably generalize it and just call it episodic ataxia in general. So in terms, I'm sure you've heard it before or not, whatever. Episodic ataxia is a genetic condition caused by sporadic severe coordination and imbalance and causes a lot of neurological symptoms. The number one misconception about this type of ataxia, and I'm just going to number it all the way down, based on my experience because I'm genetically confirmed to have episodic ataxia type 2. It's not as debilitating and severe like other types of ataxias. That's misconception number one, and I'm going to go into more details. So, how does it affect me with misconception number one? Well, it looks like I appear normal. These attacks are very disabling and debilitating. Okay. Sometimes I can't walk at all. Other times, depending on the severity of the episode, I need assistance walking, or I need a wheelchair. It just kind of like depends on the episode, but that's what I want to get into there. So it is very severe disabling. Number two misconception with having episodic ataxia. It only comes in sporadic bouts or episodes. And I hear this misconception all the time. While it is primarily or starts with sporadic bouts of severe discoordination and imbalance, many people develop progressive cerebellar, especially in type 2 progressive cerebellar atrophy, or this progressive deterioration in between their episodes. So while it initially appears episodic in nature, the person can have ataxia all the time, a permanent and progressive secondary ataxia, because over time it damages the cerebellum in the back of the brain and it causes it to deteriorate. So in between these episodes, you can lose muscle control and balance as well. So, number three misconception about episodic ataxia. It is not like life-threatening or life-altering. While it is a very life-altering condition, this disease can affect your quality of life. You could have so many attacks that you won't be able to get up, go to school, go to work. You're like severely disabled. Another thing is that it can lead to serious consequences. So if you're fine one moment and you get in a car, you start driving and you have a sudden episode, this could be life-threatening. So it's a total misconception that it is a life-threatening condition. It doesn't necessarily lead to over time complications, but it can be. It can, but it can't. If it's not treated or correctly, and many people, it takes decades to diagnose. So many people don't have it treated until like later on in their life, anyways, because it's like somewhat an invisible form of ataxia. It's hard to, and on top of it being so rare, it can take decades to diagnose, whereas people with an obvious form of ataxia can take a longer time than average as well, but not necessarily decades. It just kind of depends on your circumstances, how knowledgeable your doctors are, and all that. But yeah. So another thing is that people with episodic ataxia can have seizures, and seizures are very scary. Some seizures are not resistant, are drug resistant epilepsy. So some seizures can be severe and life altering as well, and can be an emergency in some cases. On top of that, episodic ataxia, specifically type 2, can overlap with hemiplegic migraine. So some people with episodic ataxia can have this other condition called hemiplegic migraine, which is in the same gene as episodic ataxia type 2, and they have symptoms to that. And hemiplegic migraine could cause paralysis, weakness on one side of the body, a severe migraine, and can also lead to life-threatening cerebral edema, something like that. So it's like a fatal brain swelling, and usually it's triggered by trivial head trauma. So if you have ataxia, let's say, and you trip or you end up falling and you hit your head, and you didn't even hit your head very hard, this can cause a life-threatening brain swelling in people with CACNA1A mutations. So that's the other misconception. So a lot of things with episodic ataxia can be somewhat more complex than what people realize. So, but yeah. Yeah. So I think that's about it. See if I covered everything. Oh, another misconception is that people with episodic ataxia never need assistance with walking, never need a wheelchair or a walker. I wanted to throw this out here because it's a total misconception, as I have episodic ataxia and have used a cane, wheelchair, and a walker. So, this misconception is just, is ridiculous because, I mean, I've literally had to use it even when I wasn't in the episode per se, but I've declined to the point where I was weak in the muscles, and it was almost to the point where it was constant. So, I mean, I'd manage around the apartment like I was fine, but if I had to go out, I always relied on a walker or a cane or a wheelchair. So, I wanted to kind of throw that out there. And I'll probably make another video on what it's actually like for me, what I experienced that people might not know with having episodic ataxia type 2, because there is not a lot of research. I mean, there's not a lot of stuff that there's a lot of stuff I experience that the online doesn't even talk about. So I kind of want to throw this out there as well. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.